Right now, Montana is on the threshold of an incredible opportunity. We have all these natural resources. We have well-trained people that are hardworking with this wonderful work ethic, and yet we sit here at near last in per capita income. People have to work at 2 jobs or more, or husbands and wives both working at 2 jobs or more to try to support their families, and it doesn't have to be this way. I came here because of the outdoors. I mean, hunting and fishing and camping, great place to raise a family, but I love the outdoors. I grew up hunting and fishing, and I mean, Montana is like the nirvana of the outdoors. It was $500 million in the hole, and it was losing about $50 million a year. And so by building those accountabilities, building a strategic plan, building real budgets, measuring real performance, over the course of the next 3.5 years, we paid off all $500 million worth of the deficit, replaced that with a surplus, and cut the rates and costs of most employers by almost 50%. I'm not the one that achieved it. The management team that we put in place are the people that achieved it. What I was able to do is to provide a vision and a framework that allowed us to transform one of the biggest problems into Montana into one of the big success stories at that time. Probably the most important thing I accomplished was to get the Otter Creek coal tracts transferred from the BLM, from the United States of America, to the state of Montana. There are 8 sections of coal with over 5 billion tons of coal. And why that was important and is important to Montana is because the leasing of that coal and the revenues that will come from it over the life of the mines that are developed there are estimated to produce over $5 billion worth of revenue to the state of Montana, as well as to create thousands of good-paying jobs. I was 8 years old when I bought my first shotgun. You could do that back then, you can't do that today. I've been a strong advocate of the Second Amendment throughout all of my public tenure. In Congress, I fought hard to preserve the Second Amendment. I believe that it's one of those core constitutional rights that we have. It isn't just to defend yourself and your family, but it's also to defend yourself from an oppressive government. My #1 priority as governor is to unleash the economic potential of Montana, and we'll do that by moving our regulatory regime and our legal problems to the mainstream. And when we do that, we'll unleash the potential of Montanans that'll produce more, better-paying jobs and more prosperity for everyone. The challenges that we have today aren't new. They've been here a long time. What's interesting is that you look at our neighbors. You look at North Dakota, you look at South Dakota, you look at Wyoming, you look at Idaho. They've been able to build a more prosperous future by taking a different attitude. And it's that attitude that I want to provide the vision for. An attitude that actually welcomes investment, welcomes success, welcomes opportunity in a way that's different than it does today. Then I think our future is almost unlimited. It's so important that as we develop our natural resources, that we don't trade the big sky country for the treasure state. It's really important because people don't want to give this up. They don't want to ruin this. This is pretty special. We have to have balance as we develop our resources in a way that maximizes the benefit to all Montanans, using that in the right way, but also creating those job opportunities that everybody needs so much.
Rick Hill, make no mistake, he's a proven leader. He's a successful businessman. What I like about Rick Hill probably the most is he's not going to punt. He's not going to punt the ball down and wait for the next administration. He's not going to fold on the hard issues. He's going to work with the legislature. He's going to work with the business community, with the stakeholders. He's going to listen to the taxpayer.
Today, Montana uses baseline budgeting, which is the same broken method that Congress uses. It doesn't take into account what's working and what's not working. If you start by thinking strategically about how you're spending the money, it forces you to say, well, why are we doing this? What is it we're trying to accomplish? What is the benefit to the people of Montana? How does it benefit taxpayers? How does it fit in terms of priority with other programs? And the result of this is that we'll get rid of broken programs or we'll fix them. We may put more resources to work in the things that are working, but in the end, we're going to get more for our buck no matter what we do. Well, Montana does have a high marginal income tax rate. It has a high marginal capital gains tax rate, but the tax I think that most Montanans are concerned about are high property taxes. And this, again, adversely impacts business as well as individuals. What I want to do is to deploy the revenues that are going to come to Montana from natural resource development, particularly energy development, and use that to reduce property taxes all across the state. The result of that will be, obviously, families will have more money to spend, businesses will have more money to invest, and the result of that will be a stronger economy. Well, my mother brought me home from the hospital to a one-room apartment in the back of my dad's tire repair shop. And we literally slept in that room. My mother cooked our meals in that room. In fact, she bathed us in a galvanized tub with water she heated on the stove. I was the only son in the family, and my father wanted a hunting companion, and so he took me hunting, even though I wasn't able to keep up. I mean, there's no way I could walk to go hunting, so he'd literally carry me. And we were able to have that companionship, hunting together, even though it was a different set of circumstances for me. And from that experience, I kind of learned this notion that when you face adversity in your life, you have a choice. You can either become a victim or you can take responsibility for your future. And so what my family taught me is you take responsibility for your future. We pull together as a family, we have a strong sense of faith, kind of put on the armor of our faith, and went to work to make a different future for ourselves and for our family. If we'd had government-run health care, like people are proposing today, I wouldn't have had a family physician that knew my family and knew me. Obamacare is talking about an impersonal kind of medicine, and impersonal medicine isn't going to give us the kind of positive outcome I had when I had my experience. I have 3 sons. Being a single parent, trying to run a household and build a business at the same time is probably the toughest thing I've ever had to do in my life.
When I met him, he was a single father, and organizing 3 boys in a household where they went to 3 different schools, because one in elementary, one in junior high, one in high school, juggling all of their schedules, and they each had their own little job to do each night. One had spaghetti night, one had macaroni night, and then they did their laundry all together in front of the TV. I mean, he organized all of that. A really super father and a super grandfather, because he's very involved and was very involved with his kids. We got married in the church that we still attend 29 years later. We have 7 grandkids. Our oldest one is graduating from high school this year, unbelievably, and the youngest is just turned 3, and so they're quite a difference in age. So we try to budget a lot of time for our grandkids.
For me, probably the greatest thing about being a parent is that you get to be a grandparent. There are so many influences today on our children, and as a result, I think it's harder for parents to understand what's going on with their kids and to be able to positively impact it. And one of the reasons that I'm so committed to reforming education is because it's such an important component of the opportunity that our kids are going to have in the future. More than 20% of our kids are not graduating from high school, and of those who do graduate, 30% of those who graduate and apply to go to the university need remedial training in fundamentals of reading and mathematics. So what we need to do is to find ways to use competition as a vehicle to improve schools. So I support school choice. I think there is a place for charter schools in Montana. I support tax credits for private tuition as a way to encourage private schools as an alternative and to create an opportunity for lower income families to be able to send their kids to private schools. Today, we have a system where there's micromanaging with lots of rules. The model I believe in is with more freedom, more flexibility, but greater accountability. Grandparents shouldn't have to get on an airplane to go visit their grandchildren. Our children and our grandchildren are having to leave Montana in order to find good jobs. And it doesn't have to be that way, it shouldn't be that way, and in our past it wasn't that way. That's why I'm so adamant about changing Montana's economy to create more better paying jobs. We want more jobs, but we also want better paying jobs. Montana's tragedy is that we're near the bottom in per capita income in probably the richest state in America. There are a lot of people that are in politics because they want to be popular. I'm in politics because I actually believe that we can change things. And I'm convinced that I can provide the vision and the leadership to change things. even if some of those things are not popular.